I want to ask you a question that most mortgage advisors never bring up. What if the way you've been taught to manage your home loan, the way we've all been doing it for decades, is actually costing you far more than it needs to? Most people are sitting on a financial tool they don't even know exists, and it could change everything about how fast they build wealth. I'm talking about the all-in-one loan, and I believe it's one of the most powerful financial instruments available to homeowners today. Let me start with something that sounds almost too simple, but once you hear it, it's hard to look at a traditional mortgage the same way again. Most of us keep our checking and savings in one place, and our mortgage somewhere else entirely. Those two worlds, they never talk to each other. Your everyday money sits over here in a checking or savings account, earning minimal interest, while over here sits your mortgage, one of the largest ongoing financial expenses you'll ever have, quietly charging interest every single day. Think about that. We spend a lot of time focused on how much our money is earning, but very few people stop to think about how much their debt is costing. We're focused on earning a little more on one side of the balance sheet, while ignoring the largest liability on the other, our mortgage. And that's the part that's hard to unhear. Once you realize that the cost of carrying mortgage debt is often far greater than what your cash is earning, you start asking a very different question. Instead of asking, how can I earn more interest on my money? You start asking, how can I reduce the amount of debt charging me interest every single day? That's a completely different way of thinking about a mortgage, and it's one of the core ideas behind the all-in-one loan. Here's some history that I think puts all of this in context. The 30-year fixed mortgage was created in 1938 by the Federal Housing Administration. The country was coming out of the Great Depression. The goal was simple: to help first-time homebuyers get into homes with a payment they could actually afford each month. And it worked. For that moment in history, it absolutely worked. But look at what that loan is actually designed around. Eligibility. Can you fit this payment into your monthly budget? That's the question it answers. It was never designed around financial outcomes or wealth building. And here's the real trap. With a traditional amortized mortgage, the bank front loads the interest. In the early years of your loan, the vast majority of every payment goes straight to the bank, not to your principal, not to your equity. You're on the bank's schedule, their timeline, their structure, and it was designed almost a century ago. The question is, does it still make sense for you today? This is where everything changes. The all-in-one loan was developed in 2005. It combines three financial buckets: your mortgage, your checking account, and home equity access into one single financial tool. Now, why does that matter? Because interest is calculated on your daily balance, and the lower your balance, the less interest you pay. With a traditional mortgage, your paycheck goes into your checking account and it sits there until you spend it. Meanwhile, your mortgage balance isn't benefiting from those deposits. It continues generating interest until your next scheduled payment is made. AIO works differently. The moment your paycheck or any other deposit hits the account, it immediately reduces the balance being charged interest. Then, at the end of the day, interest is calculated based upon the lower balance. That's a subtle difference, but over time it can create a dramatic impact. And this is the shift I want you to really sit with. Most people obsess over finding the lowest interest rate when shopping for a mortgage, but what they really want is to spend the fewest total dollars possible. And one of the fastest way to do that is to reduce what you owe as quickly as possible, using money you already have. Not necessarily by making larger payments, not by working more hours, not by finding extra money, but by putting the money that's already flowing through the household to work more efficiently. With traditional financing, your checking account and your mortgage live in separate worlds. The all-in-one loan brings them together. Instead of your money sitting on the sidelines while your mortgage accrues interest, your cash begins working against the debt. And that's the difference between your money working for the bank and your money working for you. Think about what that means. Those three components, your first lien mortgage, your checking account, and an open-ended line of credit. They're all one unified system. The separation is gone. There's no idle cash sitting in a 0% checking account going nowhere. With the all-in-one loan, every dollar that flows through your account, even temporarily, is actively reducing your debt and saving you interest while it's there. It's so much more than a mortgage. Your money, it's never lazy. It's working for you even when it's just passing through. Let me break down exactly how this works day to day. It's simpler than you might think. Step 1. Your deposits are made just like with any other checking account. Nothing unusual there. Step 2. The moment that deposit lands, it immediately drops your balance. 100% of those idle funds sweep to your principal. Now this works a little bit differently for Texas homestead properties, and I'll get to that in a moment. Step 3. That same night, your interest is recalculated. AIO uses daily simple interest, your rate divided by 365, applied to your newly reduced balance. So even one day of lower balance means lower interest. Step 4. You spend your money normally. ATM, Visa, checks, wire transfers, whatever you need for bills or unexpected expenses. Your funds are 100% accessible the entire time. And then, your next paycheck or any deposits come in, and the cycle starts again. Here's the insight that makes this so powerful. That gap between when your income arrives and when you spend it, even if it's just a few days, a week, 2 weeks, that time creates a continuous cycle of interest savings. This chart tells the whole story in one image. The green line is a traditional 30-year mortgage balance. Notice how slowly it declines. Even though you're making payments every month, much of those payments are going towards interest. Now look at the black line. That's the all-in-one loan strategy. Same starting balance, same homeowner, but because deposits are continuously reducing the balance being charged interest, the principal begins falling much faster. Those little up and down movements you're seeing, they represent real life. Income comes in, bills go out. Income comes in, bills go out. But throughout that entire cycle, your money is spending time reducing the balance that's being charged interest. And those days add up. Week after week, month after month, year after year. Same starting balance, dramatically different payoff timeline. Now this isn't magic, it's just math applied differently. And it's the difference between playing by the bank's rules and playing by your own. With the all-in-one loan, you become the bank of you. Let me put these side by side so the differences are clear. Interest calculation. The traditional mortgage uses front-loaded amortization. In the beginning, most of your payment goes towards interest, while only a small portion reduces your balance. In fact, after making payments for years, many homeowners are surprised to discover how little of their original loan balance has actually been paid down. AIO uses daily simple interest, so every dollar immediately counts. Payment focused. Traditional amortized mortgages have a fixed minimum monthly payment. AIO is principal paid first. Your income does the work automatically. Liquidity. This is a big one. With a traditional mortgage, your equity is trapped. You can't access it without refinancing, and that takes time, costs money, and resets your clock. With AIO, you have 24/7 access to your equity for up to 30 years with no penalties. And idle cash? Right now your checking account is probably sitting at 0%, earning nothing, doing nothing. With AIO, every dollar in that account is actively reducing your balance and saving you interest. Same house, same cash flow, completely different financial outcome. Now, if you're watching this from Texas, I need to spend a minute on Texas primary homeowners because it's specific to you. The all-in-one loan comes in two versions, the standard all-in-one, which is available in most states, and also for investment properties and second homes here in Texas. It's a 30-year line of credit with a fully automatic sweep of 100% of your deposits to your principal. It's simple, hands-off, powerful. Now for Texas primary residences, what's called the Texas homestead, state law requires a minimum $4,000 draw on equity to access those funds. Because of that, the automatic sweep is disabled. But here's the thing, that's actually an advantage. Instead of an automatic sweep, you have absolute manual control. You can simply access your account through the mobile app and transfer exactly the amount of your deposit that you want to pay down your principal. You aggressively crush your debt while keeping the right amount in checking for your weekly bills. You completely bypass the $4,000 draw minimum. Same benefits and engine, different transmission. One is automatic, the Texas Homestead version is manual. Now, one of the questions I get all the time is, how safe is this strategy? Let me give you an interesting statistic. In over 21 years, the all-in-one loan has experienced 0 foreclosures. Not a small number, 0. And that's not an accident. The reason is that AIO was designed differently than a traditional mortgage. With a traditional mortgage, every dollar you pay towards principal becomes trapped inside your home's equity unless you refinance, sell the home, or apply for a separate home equity loan. The all-in-one loan works differently. As you reduce your balance, you're building equity while maintaining access to it. That means if life happens, a job loss, a medical emergency, a business slowdown, or an unexpected expense, you still have access to available funds without having to refinance or apply for a new loan. And because the required payment is interest only, the minimum payment is often lower than the traditional full amortized mortgage. In fact, as the balance decreases, the required interest payment generally decreases as well, creating additional flexibility over time. And that's where something really interesting starts to happen. As your balance decreases, your interest expense decreases. As your interest expense decreases, more of your monthly cash flow becomes available to reduce your principal. And as principal decreases, interest expense drops even further. It's a cycle that begins working in your favor. This brings us back to the three variables that determine the total cost of any mortgage: rate, time, and balance. Most homeowners spend almost all of their energy focused on the interest rate. And while rate certainly matters, it's only one piece of the equation. The all-in-one loan strategy is designed to improve the other two variables as well. As the balance decreases, less interest is charged. As less interest is charged, more cash flow becomes available to reduce the principal. And as that cycle continues, the amount of time you're in the debt can shrink dramatically. Lower balance, less time in debt, fewer total interest dollars paid. That's exactly what you're seeing in the payoff charts. The balance falls faster, interest expense falls faster, and the payoff timeline accelerates. The all-in-one loan is designed to address all three variables of the mortgage equation. Let me be clear about something. The all-in-one loan isn't just a mortgage. I view it as a cash flow management system that happens to be secured by your home. It's designed to help improve mortgage efficiency, reduce interest expense, and help the right borrower build wealth faster. But it's not for everyone, and that's okay. The clients who tend to benefit more are people with consistent positive cash flow, meaningful income flowing through their accounts each month, and a desire to be intentional about how their money works. That might be a business owner, a commissioned salesperson, a high-income W-2 professional, a real estate investor, or simply someone who has built up cash reserves and wants to put those dollars to work without giving up access to them. On the other hand, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, consistently carrying consumer debt balances, or struggling with negative monthly cash flow, this probably isn't the right solution for you today. The strategy works because it uses your existing cash flow and liquidity to reduce the balance being charged interest. If there isn't excess cash flow, the math simply doesn't work the same way. And that's why I always start with the numbers. If I run your scenario and the all-in-one loan doesn't create a meaningful benefit, I'm going to tell you. I offer many different mortgage solutions, and my job is to recommend the one that best meets your situation, not force every borrower into the same loan. But when the all-in-one loan is the right fit, the results can be extraordinary. If you've made it this far, you probably realize this isn't really about getting the lowest interest rate. It's about understanding how interest works and finding a more efficient way to manage one of the largest financial obligations most of us will ever have. The good news is, you don't have to guess what this could look like for your situation. We have an interactive calculator that allows us to model your actual numbers, your mortgage balance, your income, expenses, and cash flow, and compare a traditional mortgage strategy to the all-in-one approach. Sometimes the difference is modest, sometimes it's dramatic. The only way to know is to run the numbers. If you'd like to see what that looks like for your situation, I'd be happy to walk you through it personally and answer any questions you have along the way. I'm Brian Campbell, Senior Mortgage Advisor with CMG Home Loans here in Austin, Texas, and I'm an all-in-one certified advisor. Remember, most people spend their entire lives focused on the interest rate. The real question is, how much interest am I going to pay over the life of my loan? Because the goal isn't to get the lowest interest rate. The goal is to pay the fewest dollars in interest. Once you understand that difference, it's hard to look at a mortgage the same way again.